English Daily, the podcast.
Your English journey starts now. Hey, English learners, welcome back to your podcast, the English Daily Podcast.
Yes, we're so happy to have you here today. This is Jack speaking, and I'm super excited to be here with you all.
And I'm Anna. Hi, everyone. Today's episode is all about something really fascinating: why smells make us feel at home, and the vocabulary we use to talk about nostalgia and memory.
That's right, and we're going to make it really practical for you. You're going to learn tons of useful words and phrases that native speakers use all the time. I'm really looking forward to this one, Anna.
Me too, Jack. You know what's funny? I was actually thinking about this topic last week when I was visiting my parents. Every time I walked into their house, there was this familiar smell. It's hard to describe, but it's like a mixture of old books, coffee, and this specific laundry detergent they've used for years. And suddenly, I wasn't just in their house. I was 7 years old again, running around the backyard.
Wow, that's such a powerful example. I completely understand what you mean. It's amazing how our brains work like that. So for today's episode, we're going to explore this connection between smells and memory. And most importantly, we're going to give you the vocabulary to talk about it in English.
Absolutely. Whether you're a beginner or already speaking well, you'll find something useful here. We're going to share lots of personal stories too, which I think makes learning so much more memorable. And we'll have plenty of vocabulary practice at the end.
That's the goal. And we have a really interesting question to start our discussion with, something that a lot of people wonder about during the holiday season. Anna, do you want to share that with our listeners?
Of course. So here's the question. Was Christmas better in the past? It's something that comes up every year, and I think it relates really beautifully to what we're talking about today. We're going to discuss why that question even makes sense, and how our sense of smell plays a huge role in how we remember special occasions.
I love that question. It's so relatable, and I think everyone has an opinion about it. But here's the interesting thing. It's not necessarily that Christmas was objectively better in the past. It's more about how our memories work, especially when it comes to smells and sensory experiences.
Exactly. So let's dive right in. I think our listeners are going to really enjoy this one. And Jack, I have a feeling you're going to have some great stories to share too.
I definitely do. I can't wait to get into it. Let's go.
Anna, can I ask you something? Do you have a smell that instantly takes you back to your childhood? I mean, really instantly, like you're there again.
Oh, that's such a great question, Jack. And the answer is definitely yes. Actually, I do. You know that smell of old books? There's something about the musty, papery scent of books that have been sitting on a shelf for years. Whenever I smell it, I'm immediately transported to my grandmother's house. She had this huge bookshelf in her living room, and I would spend hours there as a kid, just picking out books and smelling them. It's funny how powerful that is.
Wow, that's incredible. I never thought about that before. I guess I have something similar. You know that smell of freshly cut grass? It always reminds me of summer vacations when I was young. My dad used to take me to the park every Saturday, and we'd have these picnics on the grass. The smell of cut grass just brings it all back. It's so vivid.
It's amazing, isn't it? There's actually a scientific reason for this. The olfactory system, which is the part of our brain that processes smells, is directly connected to the limbic system, which handles our emotions and memories. That's why smells can trigger such vivid recollections. It's not like other senses that go through a processing center first.
That's really interesting. So basically, when we smell something, it goes straight to our emotional center? That's why it feels so intense?
Exactly. That's why we call it primal or primitive memory. It's not a conscious process, it just happens automatically. And the interesting thing is that these memories are often more emotional than our regular memories. They're more vivid, more detailed, and they can really affect our mood. Have you noticed that?
You know what? Now that you mention it, yes. When I smell something from my childhood, I don't just remember it. I actually feel the emotions I felt back then. It's like time travel or something. It's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It really is. And that's what we're going to explore today, how to talk about all these feelings in English, because there are so many wonderful words and phrases for describing nostalgia and memory. It's such a rich area of vocabulary.
I love this topic already. So what other examples can you give? I mean, everyone has these smell memories, right? It's not just us?
Oh, definitely. Think about baking smells like cinnamon or vanilla. Many people associate those with their mother's or grandmother's kitchen, or the smell of certain soaps or shampoos. Those can bring back really specific moments. Even car smells, like the interior of a particular car, can be incredibly nostalgic. What about you, Jack? Any other examples?
Speaking of cars, you know what I remember? The smell of my grandfather's old car. It was this specific mixture of leather seats and this old air freshener he used. I haven't been in that car in over 20 years, but I can still remember it perfectly. It's amazing how that works. And he passed away years ago, so it's a way of feeling connected to him, you know?
That's so touching, Jack. And you just used a perfect phrase, brings back, which is something we'll talk about later. These are the expressions native speakers use all the time when discussing memory and nostalgia. It's things like, this smell brings back memories, or it takes me back to my childhood.
This is great. I feel like I'm already learning and we've just started. So let's keep going. I want to hear more about the science behind it.
Well, there's also something called Proustian memory. It's named after the French writer Marcel Proust, who wrote about this phenomenon in his books. He described how the taste of a Madeleine cake dipped in tea brought back all these childhood memories. So sometimes you'll hear people say they have a Proustian moment when a sensory experience triggers a powerful memory. It's a really elegant term.
I didn't know that. That's such a great word to know. So if I say I had a Proustian moment, I'm basically saying I was suddenly overwhelmed by a memory from my past, triggered by a smell or taste?
Exactly. You've got it. It's a bit of a fancy term, but it's very useful if you want to sound more sophisticated in English, and it shows that you know some literary references too, which is always impressive.
I love it. I'm definitely going to use that one. Okay, so we've established that smells can trigger powerful memories. Now let's get into the big question. Was Christmas better in the past? I'm curious to hear your thoughts on that. Anna, I have a question that might be a bit controversial. Have you ever thought about whether Christmas was better in the past? I feel like everyone says this. Christmas was so much better when I was a kid.
Oh, that's the question everyone asks, isn't it? My mother always says that Christmas was so much better when we were kids. And I remember thinking the same thing when I was growing up. But now when I think about it, maybe it's not that Christmas was actually better. Maybe it's just that our memories make it seem better. There's a psychological phenomenon for this.
That's a really interesting perspective. So you're saying it's not necessarily that things were different, but our perception changed. Our memories are kind of editing the past.
Exactly. There's this psychological phenomenon called Rosy retrospection, where we remember past events more positively than they actually were. We tend to forget the stressful parts and focus on the good feelings. And for many people, Christmas smells are a big part of this. We remember the magic, the excitement, the warmth, and we forget the work, the stress, the arguments.
That makes so much sense. So the smells play a role in this rosy retrospection? How does that work exactly?
Well, think about it. What are the smells of Christmas? The smell of pine trees, that Christmas tree smell, or the aroma of roasting turkey or ham, cinnamon, nutmeg, gingerbread. These are all scents that we associate with the holiday season. And when we smell them, we don't just remember Christmas, we feel all those warm, fuzzy emotions from our childhood. The smell is directly connected to our emotional center, remember?
I never thought about it that way. So the smells are actually making us remember Christmas as being better than it was? Our brains are tricking us?
In a way, yes. It's not that Christmas was necessarily better, but our brains are making these strong associations between the smells and the feelings we had. And because we were children, everything felt more magical and intense. Everything was new and exciting. So when we smell these things now, we're not just remembering, we're reliving those feelings. It's pretty powerful stuff.
You know what? This is making me think about my own Christmas memories. My grandmother used to make this specific type of cookie. They were called snowballs, and they had this powdered sugar on top. The smell of them baking brings back such strong memories. Even now, when I smell powdered sugar, I think of Christmas at her house. And honestly, those memories feel happier than Christmases I've had as an adult.
That's a perfect example. And see how you're already using this vocabulary naturally? Brings back memories, associating smells with feelings. These are exactly the phrases we'll be covering today. You're already practicing without realizing it.
I love this. So is there a way to use this in everyday conversation? Like when you want to talk about how something reminds you of the past. How would you naturally say that the smell of cinnamon reminds you of your grandmother's kitchen?
Oh, absolutely. There are so many ways to express nostalgia in English. We can say something evokes a memory or triggers a recollection. We can say we look back fondly on something. There are really expressive ways to talk about these feelings. Let me give you a few examples.
Please, I want to learn as many as possible.
Sure. You could say, the smell of cinnamon always evokes memories of my grandmother's kitchen. That's a very natural, slightly formal way to say it. Or you could say, cinnamon reminds me so much of my grandmother's house. Every time I smell it, I'm right back there. That's more casual and conversational. Both are great.
That's really useful. I can already think of so many situations where I'd use this, like if I'm talking to someone about my childhood or about something that makes me feel nostalgic. This is exactly what our listeners need.
Exactly. And that's what we're here to help you with, giving you these tools so you can express yourself naturally and fluently. These are the kinds of phrases that make your English sound much more native. Instead of saying, I remember this from my childhood, you can say, this brings back memories, or I'm filled with nostalgia. It sounds so much more natural.
I really appreciate that. So let's dig deeper into the vocabulary. What are some other words we can use to describe smells? Because that's part of our topic too, right?
Absolutely. That's a great transition. Let's get into sensory vocabulary next. It's such an important part of expressing these ideas.
So Anna, let's get into the vocabulary part. What are some words we can use to describe smells? Because I want to be able to describe these experiences in detail, not just say it smells good or it smells bad.
Great question. There's such a rich vocabulary for describing smells in English. Let's start with some basic positive ones. We have fragrant, which means having a pleasant smell, or aromatic, which is similar but sounds a bit more formal. Then there's sweet. That's very common, like the room smelled sweet.
What about words that describe really strong smells? Sometimes something doesn't just smell nice or bad, it has this intense presence, you know?
Oh, absolutely. There are so many words for that. Pungent describes a strong, sharp smell, like garlic or strong cheese. Some people might consider it slightly negative, but it's not always bad. It's more about intensity than whether it's pleasant or unpleasant.
Wait, is pungent positive or negative? I'm a bit confused about that.
That's a good question. Pungent is usually neutral to slightly negative. It describes a smell that's very strong and sharp. Like I said, think of garlic or strong cheese. Some people might use it negatively, but it's not always bad. It's more about intensity than whether it's pleasant or unpleasant.
Okay, that makes sense. What about words that describe bad smells? Because sometimes we need to describe things that don't smell nice.
Oh, we have plenty of those. Foul is a strong one. It means really unpleasant, like something has gone bad. Stinky is more casual and common in everyday speech. You'd use that with friends. Putrid is very strong and suggests something rotting or decomposing. Musty describes that damp, old smell, like old books or a closed room that hasn't been aired out. And rank is another good one. It means having a strong, unpleasant smell.
I feel like I'm building my vocabulary already. What about words for really pleasant smells? What do we use for nice sense words?
Oh, so many. Fragrant and aromatic, as I mentioned. Sweet is very common, like the room smelled sweet. Delightful, pleasant, inviting. These are all great words. And we also have intoxicating for something that's so pleasant it almost overwhelms you. It's a bit stronger, but really nice to use. Exquisite is another elegant word.
That's really helpful. And I guess you can combine these with what the smell reminds you of. Like you can describe not just the smell, but what it makes you think of.
Absolutely. You can say something smells like something else, like, this candle smells like fresh pine, or the air smelled like the sea. You can also say something has a hint of something, like, this tea has a hint of vanilla. That's a very common and natural expression. And you can use those descriptive words together. The room had a sweet, aromatic scent of fresh flowers.
What about when you're describing a place? Like if I want to describe my grandmother's kitchen and the smells there.
Oh, that's such a good example. You could say, her kitchen always smelled of cinnamon and warm apples, or the whole house was filled with the aroma of fresh baking. Aroma is another great word. It suggests a more complex, layered smell. And we also use scent, which is similar, but a bit more subtle. They're all a little bit different.
Is there a difference between smell and scent? I've always wondered about that.
Good question. Smell is more general. It can be good or bad, strong or weak. Scent often implies something more subtle or pleasant, like a perfume or a natural fragrance. Like you'd say the scent of roses, but the smell of garbage. But they're often interchangeable in casual conversation. You'll hear both used, and it's fine to use either in most situations.
This is so useful. I feel like I'm going to be so much more descriptive now when I talk about smells. What about other sensory words? Because our topic is about sensory experiences, right?
Yes, exactly. We're going to cover even more vocabulary as we go through. But let's pause for a moment and think about some personal stories. I think that's where the real learning happens, when we connect new words to real experiences.
I agree. Let's hear some more of your stories, Anna. What else brings back memories for you? Okay, so we've talked about the science and the vocabulary, but I really want to get into some personal stories now. Anna, what's your absolute most memorable smell? The one that really takes you back to a specific time and place?
Ugh, that's a tough question, but I think for me, it's the smell of rain on hot pavement. You know that scent? It's actually called petrichor in English. That's the technical term. It's that wonderful, earthy smell you get when rain falls on dry ground. It always takes me back to summer afternoons playing outside as a child. We'd be running around the neighborhood, and suddenly a summer storm would come, and that smell would fill the air. It was magical.
Petrichor. I didn't even know there was a word for that. That's actually the perfect word. I love that English has such a specific term for this. I'm definitely going to use that.
Isn't it great? English has such specific words for things. And the interesting thing is that petrichor comes from Greek words meaning stone and the blood of the gods. How poetic is that? It's like the earth is coming alive when it rains.
That's amazing. I love learning the origins of words. It makes them so much more memorable. Okay, so my most memorable smell, let me think about this. I think it's probably gasoline. I know that sounds weird, but hear me out.
Gasoline? That's unexpected. I'm curious now. Tell me more.
When I was a kid, my father used to take me to this old gas station where he knew the owner. The guy was this old mechanic named Joe, and he'd let me sit in the car while he worked on it. And there's just something about the smell of gasoline that reminds me of those times, of being with my dad, of feeling like I was part of something. It was quality time, even though I was just sitting there watching.
That's actually not weird at all. And that's such a touching story. See, this is what we mean by smells triggering deep memories. It's not always pleasant smells. It's the smells that are tied to meaningful experiences. The emotions are what matter most. And that smell of gasoline is connected to love and time spent with your father.
Yeah, I guess I never thought about it that way. It's not that gasoline smells good, it's what it represents. The time spent with my dad, feeling safe and happy. It's a way of connecting with him even now, even though he's not around as much. That's really special.
That's beautiful, Jack. And that's such an important point for our listeners. Nostalgia isn't just about pleasant smells. It's about meaningful experiences. The emotions are what matter most. And being able to express these feelings in English is such a valuable skill.
Do you have other examples? I'd love to hear more. I think these personal stories really help illustrate the vocabulary.
Well, another big one for me is the smell of the ocean. Every time I smell salt air, I'm immediately on vacation with my family. I remember these specific trips we took to the beach when I was young. The smell of sunscreen, too, that brings back such strong memories of lying on the beach with my parents, building sand castles, swimming in the waves. It's so vivid.
Sunscreen. That's another one. I never thought about that. The smell of coconut sunscreen. It's so specific and yet so universal. Everyone knows that smell.
Right? And that's something you could use in conversation, too. You could say, the smell of coconut sunscreen instantly transports me back to my childhood holidays. That's such a natural way to express that feeling. And you're using vocabulary like instantly transports me, which is a really nice expression.
I love this. These are the kinds of real, usable phrases that our listeners need. Can we go through some more of these expressions? I feel like we're just scratching the surface.
Absolutely. There's so much more to cover. Let's dive deeper into the vocabulary for nostalgia and memory. We're going to give you so many tools to express these feelings.
So let's get into the real vocabulary. What are the key phrases for talking about nostalgia? I want to be able to express these feelings accurately and naturally.
Let's start with nostalgia itself. It's a noun, meaning a sentimental longing for the past. You can say, I feel nostalgia, or I'm filled with nostalgia. Then we have nostalgic as the adjective form. So you might say, this song makes me feel nostalgic, or I'm feeling a bit nostalgic today.
What about when something reminds you of the past? What's the natural way to say that?
Great question. There are so many ways to express this. You can say something reminds me of. This smell reminds me of my grandmother's house. That's very common and natural. Or you can say it takes me back. This brings me right back to my childhood. Both are very common and native sounding.
What about when you remember something fondly, like when you think about happy times in the past?
You can say you look back fondly on something, or you cherish the memory of something. I look back fondly on my time at university. I cherish the memories of those summer days. Both are very natural and expressive.
What about wistful? I've heard that word before, but I'm not sure how to use it.
Wistful is such a beautiful word. It means having a feeling of vague or regretful longing, like you're thinking about the past with a mix of happiness and sadness. You might say, I feel wistful whenever I smell fresh bread, or she gave me a wistful smile as we said goodbye. It's a bit poetic, but very useful.
What about when you really miss something from the past? Is there a stronger word?
Yes, you could use yearn, which means to have a strong desire for something, especially something from the past. I yearn for the simplicity of childhood, or she yearned for her homeland. It's a bit more formal and poetic, but very expressive.
These words are so beautiful. What about when you want to describe the process of remembering the past?
You could say you're reminiscing. That's the verb form. I spent the afternoon reminiscing about my school days. Or we were reminiscing about old times. It's very natural. And we also use reflect on. As I get older, I find myself reflecting on my childhood more and more.
What about when something triggers a memory? How do you say that naturally?
Perfect. That's exactly the word. Trigger. You can say, that smell triggered a vivid memory, or the song triggered nostalgia for my teenage years. It's very natural and commonly used. We also use evoke. The aroma evoked memories of my grandmother's kitchen. That's a bit more formal, but very elegant.
What about when you want to say that something is connected to your past, like it's deeply tied to your memories?
You can say it's deeply rooted in your past, or it's intertwined with your memories. That smell is deeply rooted in my childhood memories. Or my sense of home is intertwined with the smell of pine trees. These are really expressive phrases.
These are such expressive phrases. I can see how learning these would really help someone sound more natural in English. Are there any more?
There are so many. Let's think of a few more. You can say something floods back. The memories came flooding back. That's very visual and emotional. Or you can say, I'm overcome with nostalgia. I'm overcome with nostalgia when I smell that. And we also say something hits home. That comment really hit home. It means it affects you deeply.
What about when you want to describe a place that feels like home because of its smells?
Oh, that's a great one. You can say, it feels like home, or it feels like coming home. Or you can say, the smells are evocative. The smells of the market were so evocative of my childhood. And you can say, it evokes a sense of belonging. This place evokes a real sense of belonging.
I see. These are all so useful. I feel like I have so much new vocabulary now. How do we actually use all this in real conversations?
That's a great question. Let's practice that next. Let's think about some real-life situations where you'd use these words and phrases. It's one thing to learn them, but another to use them naturally.
Okay, so now we have all this vocabulary. How do we actually use it in real conversations? Can you give us some examples of how these phrases would sound in natural dialogue?
That's a great question. Let me give you some examples. Imagine you're talking to someone about your childhood. You might say, I have such fond memories of spending summers at my grandparents' house. The smell of their garden always brings back such happy feelings. Every time I smell roses, I'm right there, playing in the backyard.
That's a really natural way to use it. What about in a more casual setting, like talking to friends?
In casual conversation, you might say something like, oh man, this smell takes me back. My mom used to bake these cookies every Sunday. I haven't had them in years, but I can still remember exactly how they smelled. That's very natural and conversational.
What about when you're describing a place that has special meaning to you, like a place that feels like home?
You could say, there's this little bakery near my old house. The smell of fresh bread always makes me feel connected to my childhood. It's funny how a smell can do that, right? Or, whenever I visit my hometown, the familiar scents really ground me. I feel like I can relax and be myself.
Ground me. I love that expression. It means it makes you feel centered and connected, right? Like it gives you a sense of stability.
Exactly. And that's a very native way to express that feeling. Another one is feel at home, which is actually our topic today. You might say, that smell made the new place feel like home. Or, even in this foreign city, the smell of coffee from that little shop made me feel at home.
That's perfect. That's exactly the theme of today's episode, how smells make us feel at home. So if our listeners want to practice, they should try describing their own smell memories using these phrases, right?
Absolutely. That's the best way to learn. Try to describe your most vivid smell memory using at least 3 of the phrases we've discussed today. It could be something like, the smell of pine trees evokes memories of Christmas at my grandparents' house. Every time I smell it, I'm filled with nostalgia for those happy times. I really cherish those memories.
That's a great example, and I think our listeners will really enjoy thinking about their own memories and trying to describe them in English. It's such a personal and meaningful topic.
I think so too. And we're going to give them some reflection questions at the end to help with this. But first, let's do our vocabulary breakdown so they have all the tools they need to practice effectively.
I'm looking forward to that. Let's do it. So, Anna, let's go through all the key vocabulary from today's episode. I want to make sure our listeners have a clear, organized list of what we've covered. Can we go through them one by one?
Great idea. Let's go through them one by one, and I'll give you definitions and examples. Number 1, nostalgia, a sentimental longing for the past. Example, I feel a deep nostalgia for my childhood summers.
What's number 2?
Number 2, nostalgic, having or expressing nostalgia. Example, the old photographs made me feel nostalgic. Number 3, remind me of, to cause someone to remember something. Example, this song reminds me of my first dance.
Continue with number 4.
Number 4, take me back, to cause someone to remember a past time. Example, that smell really takes me back to my grandmother's kitchen. Number 5, evoke, to bring forth a feeling or memory. Example, the scent of lavender evokes memories of my grandmother's garden.
What about number 6?
Number 6, trigger, to cause something to start or happen. Example, the smell of gasoline triggered memories of road trips with my father. Number 7, reminisce, to talk about past experiences. Example, we spent the evening reminiscing about our college days.
Number 8?
Look back fondly, to remember something with happiness. Example, I look back fondly on my time living abroad. Number 9, wistful, having a feeling of vague or regretful longing. Example, she gave me a wistful smile as we said goodbye.
What's number 10?
Yearn, to have a strong desire for something. Example, I yearn for the simplicity of childhood. Number 11, cherish, to protect and care for something, especially memories. Example, I cherish the memories of those summer days.
Keep going with more.
Number 12, be rooted in, to be connected to something, usually the past. Example, my love of cooking is rooted in my mother's kitchen. Number 13, be intertwined with, to be closely connected. Example, my sense of home is intertwined with the smell of rain.
What about the sensory vocabulary?
Number 14, aromatic, having a pleasant, strong smell. Example, the room was filled with aromatic herbs. Number 15, fragrant, having a pleasant smell. Example, the garden was fragrant with roses.
What about the more descriptive words?
Number 16, pungent, having a strong, sharp smell. Example, the pungent smell of garlic filled the kitchen. Number 17, musty, having a damp, old smell. Example, the attic smelled musty and stale.
And the special words?
Number 18, petrichor, the smell of rain on dry ground. Example, I love the petrichor after a summer storm. Number 19, scent, a pleasant smell. Example, the room had a subtle scent of vanilla. And number 20, aroma, a distinctive, pleasant smell. Example, the aroma of fresh coffee filled the cafe.
That's 20 vocabulary words. Our listeners are going to have so much to practice with. This is amazing.
I know! And these are all really common, natural English words that you'll hear and use all the time. Don't try to memorize them all at once. Just pick a few that resonate with you and start using them. The most important thing is to practice in real situations. Now it's time for our reflection questions. We want you to think about your own experiences and try to use some of the vocabulary we've learned today. Take your time with these and maybe write down your answers to practice.
Question 1. What is the most memorable smell from your childhood? How does it make you feel when you smell it now? Try to use at least 2 vocabulary words in your answer.
Question 2. Is there a specific place that smells like home to you? Describe that place and what makes it smell so special. Use words like evokes or reminds me of.
Question 3. Do you agree that Christmas or another holiday was better in the past? Why or why not? Use some of our vocabulary to explain your answer, like Rosy Retrospection or look back fondly on.
Question 4. Think of a smell that triggers a strong emotion for you. What emotion does it bring up and why? Does it bring back specific memories?
Question 5. Have you ever moved to a new place and felt comforted by finding a familiar smell? What was it? How did it make you feel at home?
Question 6. What smells do you associate with different seasons? For example, what does summer smell like to you? What about winter or spring?
Question 7. If you could recreate the smell of a happy memory, which memory would you choose? Describe the smell in detail using the vocabulary we learned today.
Question 8. How do you think smells affect our mood and emotional state? Can you think of an example from your own life? Use words like trigger or evoke.
Question 9. What's a smell you don't like? Why do you think it has such a negative effect on you? Can you describe it using words like pungent or musty?
Question 10. Think about your grandparents' or parents' home. What smells do you most associate with visiting them? How do these smells make you feel? Use brings back or takes me back.
Take your time thinking about these questions and try to use at least 3 of the vocabulary words we learned today in your answers. That's the best way to make this new vocabulary part of your everyday English. Don't worry if it feels difficult at first. Practice makes perfect.
And remember, we're always here to help you on your English learning journey. Keep practicing, keep being curious, and most importantly, enjoy the process. Learning a language is such a wonderful adventure.
Before we go, I just want to say how much I enjoyed this conversation, Anna. I learned so much, and I hope our listeners did too. The connection between smells and memory is such a fascinating topic.
I absolutely agree, Jack. This topic is so close to all of our hearts because everyone has these smell memories. And I hope our listeners feel inspired to explore their own nostalgia and practice describing it in English. It's such a personal and meaningful way to practice vocabulary.
And don't forget to check out our next episode. We're always bringing you practical, useful English vocabulary that you can use in real conversations. We're going to have another great topic coming up soon.
That's right. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with your friends who are learning English. It really helps us grow our community and spread the love of learning.
Thanks so much for listening, everyone. We really appreciate you spending this time with us. We'll see you next time on the English Daily Podcast.
Bye for now, English learners. Keep practicing, keep exploring the wonderful world of English, and most importantly, enjoy every moment of your learning journey. See you next time. Your learning journey doesn't stop here. Keep improving your English. Click the next video or explore more episodes we've picked just for you. See you in the next lesson.